Hello and welcome back to ENGL 255. I'm Jack Hellenhofer. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about Gilgamesh, your reading assignment for this week, and the first piece of literature we will be studying, perhaps the first piece of literature ever written. Gilgamesh dates from about 2,000 years BC. We know that historical King Gilgamesh lived in about 2700 BC in the city of Uruk, U-R-U-K, which is in modern-day Iraq, in the place called originally the Fertile Crescent. And Gilgamesh's story is one that spans hundreds of years. Gilgamesh becomes a character that we see over and over and over again, brought into literature. As a matter of fact, the deposed and now deceased dictator of Iraq, Saddam Hussein, claimed he had heritage to King Gilgamesh that we were reading about, and thus he had a claim to a presidency for a lifetime in Iraq during his lifetime. Gilgamesh was written on clay tablets using a form of language called cuneiform. Cuneiform literally means wedge, and what happened was the writers would take a wedge of wood and paste it, tie it, slam it into a stick, and use that stick to smash it down into wet clay tablets. The clay tablets would dry, and then the story would stay. Obviously, as you can no doubt deduce, this is a very brittle type of medium, and so the amounts of literature that's lost in the Gilgamesh saga is incomprehensible. What you're reading is some of Gilgamesh. Your anthology doesn't give you all, or even remotely near all, what was available. So if you are to look it up online, you may see a great deal of items that you won't see here in the book. But the book provides you with a single narrative, a narrative that goes through all of Gilgamesh's story and seems to follow a path, an interesting path that I hope you will enjoy. As you'll see from your reading, Gilgamesh starts out with the initial conflict of young Gilgamesh, a man who is 2/3 a god and 1/3 a man, uses his supernatural strength and abuses his supernatural strength. Some of the abuses he heaps on the people who he's king of is he offers to wrestle any man he meets, and he hurts a lot of the men because they can't keep up with him physically. He's also, as king, claiming the rights to sleep with the virgins of his town, and this is, of course, highly unpopular among his followers. And thirdly, he's genuinely juvenile. He, as you'll see in the first few pages, climbs up to the tallest building and rings tocsin, the bell that sounds an alarm. In all cities of that age, there was a constant threat of assault from outside forces, and so most cities had a bell that would warn people that outside forces were coming to attack and that everyone should arm themselves. And Gilgamesh, much like Peter and the Wolf, likes to slam this bell and cause people to panic. He finds it funny. So the people eventually revolt in the only way they can, which is to pray to the gods for some way to be saved from their own king. The gods provide Enkidu, a physical match for Gilgamesh, a wild man, meaning he's born in the wild and raised by animals. And Enkidu comes to the world in order to help Gilgamesh, to raise Gilgamesh from his childishness into a sort of boyhoodness. And we see Enkidu throughout as an interesting character. The wild man is a trope, something we see often in literature. Other tropes of wild men include Tarzan and characters from Rudyard Kipling's Jungle Book. So we'll see that Gilgamesh is an influential book. We'll see that there's a great deal of books that later draw from Gilgamesh. As Enkidu goes through, he becomes Gilgamesh's friend, and he and Gilgamesh go on adventures. It stops Gilgamesh's childish behavior, but they go from a childish state, or at least Gilgamesh goes from a childish state where he's unable to control himself, into a boyhood state. The first thing he does when he meets Enkidu is to determine that they should go on adventures, much like Tom Sawyer. Gilgamesh can see companionship only in terms of adventure. Off they go to fight the monsters of the world, which I'll allow you to read about, and eventually learn lessons throughout which are usually end poorly for Gilgamesh. In the end, we'll see that Enkidu passes away. Passes away strangely. He passes away because he dreams he passes away, and therefore he passes away in reality. For the Sumerian, the dream world and the real world have a great amount of congruence. They have a great amount in common. At the death of Enkidu, Gilgamesh enters into a new stage in his life. He enters from that boyhood stage of adventure into a young adolescence, a stage where one has to adopt and adapt to the idea that one will die. And so Gilgamesh takes to the road. He wears, instead of the woven cloth of a civilized people, he wears the pelts of lions, and he goes in search of immortality. And we'll see in that search for immortality the themes here that are important, the themes that make literature literature, the way we deal with death, the way we come to the decision that death is part of our existence as mortals. So Gilgamesh will go through that, and the readers will go through that. I hope you enjoy it, and please, as you read, take copious notes and send me any questions that you may have. Good reading, and thank you.